Hi there. Oh, welcome to Tech Talk Weekly. I'm Bob from Creation Station. This is our weekly show where we cover 3 or 4 interesting tech topics and get you on your way in about 20 minutes. If you have a story you'd like us to cover, Creation Station at Broward.org. Or if you have a correction for a story, which we have this week, Trey, how are you doing out there? And I'll get back to my thing.
Hey,
Talk
how's
about
it going, Bob? I'm
So
doing
you're
great.
out at AARLCC. Tell us, what do you do out there at AARLCC?
Hi, so I'm a youth services librarian here at AARLCC, African American Research Library.
Thank you. I was just going to say, it's so natural for us for the AARLCC thing to roll up. But explain. African American Research Library and Cultural Center.
Yep, absolutely. And we're located here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, in Sistrunk. And I've been here for pushing, almost 7 years just about now. Great location, great people. I love the community.
No,
I love what I do here.
It's a very fun thing. We have a conference on children's literature coming up out there next month.
Yes.
That's going to be a lot of fun. Oh, that's going to be great. Before we get to our regular stories for the day, I did want to bring up, we had a listener send in a comment. We talked about GPS hacking last week, and they thought I was a little too hyperbolic on the possibilities of it happening and how easy or hard it would be. So I've got a couple of extra links this week, right away at the beginning of the show, for people to talk about the difference in between what GPS jamming is, GPS spoofing, and GPS hacking. So that it's 3 different things. One of them you really need to do on the airplane. One of them you can just jam the signals to the airplane from a remote way. And there's a little bit more fine tuning on it. It is something that the reason they thought I was a little too hyperbolic on it is it's happening for hundreds of planes. But we've got tens of thousands of planes every day flying.
Yes.
So it is something that is not a common occurrence at all for non-military planes, is what they wanted to point out. So, and I agree with them. So we want to make sure we clarify that here for everybody, because we want to be sure we like feedback. Doesn't have to be good stuff. Tell us when we're wrong, folks. But speaking of things that are wrong and bad ideas, do you remember a movie where they took some DNA out of a mosquito?
Of course. One of my favorite series of movies.
So here is an interesting thing. They now have, there's a place in Montana, by the way, that is just an amazing spot for fossil insects. Mosquitoes are an insect, and they're out there. They found a mosquito with blood intact in its stomach, with DNA, they think, intact in that stomach. They have not cracked it open yet to actually pull out the DNA, because once you do, you're done.
Yes.
So they're kind of keeping it as a potential right now. Like, there might be workable DNA in there because there is real blood. The most likely answer, as we've covered on this show before, and as they try to recreate mammoths and recreate other things, is
yes,
DNA doesn't last that long.
I was just about to say, it doesn't last that long. So what are the likelihood of them being able to actually utilize that?
Minuscule. This is one of those things that it would most likely not be possible. But
do we even want to try to utilize it?
Well, see, that's kind of the thing, though. That's what I do. And the reason why is because at this point, 46 million years ago, there were both dinosaurs, traditional reptilian type things. There were sharks and other creatures in the ocean. I'll get to that in a second. And there were some small proto-mammals around. So what were the mosquitoes going after in blood type? I think that would be a really cool thing to figure out.
That is.
Not that I want to pull DNA and try and recreate anything.
Yeah.
So the other alternative, though, is, by the way, did you know that sharks are older than trees?
Wow.
Sharks have been around for longer than we've had trees.
Goodness.
It's just mind blowing for how
It
long
is.
of a time that certain things have been working and doing in here on this planet. So, yeah, it's always strange and all new, and you always learn new stuff, Trey.
Yes. Now, looking at this article here with the mosquito.
Oh, let me come back to it. Yeah, come back. Tell me.
These mosquitoes look relatively unchanged from then to now.
Yeah.
Like there's, they always discuss the whole thing about evolution.
Yep.
But it looks like whatever they've been doing has been working for them for so long and so well to where they're virtually unchanged as far as their physical makeup.
Yep. No, it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, it is just, you look at that and you're like, yeah, that's a mosquito.
Yeah.
And that's from 42 million years ago.
And it still looks
46.
the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's just craziness. So there's this whole thing there from the Smithsonian about all the different things that they have found there, and the new paper that came out about it, and all this stuff. So it's really, really interesting.
Are we concerned about any diseases or anything?
No.
Anything coming from?
No. And here's, you know what? I just noticed as I'm rereading this article live with you that no, it's not old enough to have any dinosaur DNA blood in it. So it's got to be either some sort of mammal. Because at this time in the 47 million years, the dinosaurs had passed away.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's always been a concern of mine, especially, kind of off topic, but with the whole permafrost melting and stuff, climate change going on, are we possibly releasing any old viruses that have been frozen and kept in place all of these hundreds of thousands of millions of years or whatnot? Is that even capable of happening?
Yeah, and the answer is yes. We covered that last year. Yeah. So, it's a scary thing.
Yes.
Let's move to a happier topic.
Cool beans.
Fun things. And new crazy ideas that I would have thought this is something that we knew. How are sapphires made? And it turns out we just figured it out.
I would have, you'd have thought that would have.
Yeah. I mean, you know how diamonds are made, you know how gold, you know all the various elements, all these various things work that way. And it turns out we knew what sapphires are made of, but we didn't know how they were made because they're found in various different spots around the planet. And the chemical makeup of them tends to be very different. But by that, I mean, I want to make sure that I say the name correctly here. Because, man, oh man.
Corundum.
Yes, corundum. Thank you. Okay, I did get it right. Okay.
Yep, you did.
So depending upon what else you add to corundum is when you get blue for sapphires, red for rubies, green for emeralds, stuff like that.
Right, okay.
So they figured out the other ones, but the blue sapphire part, it took them until now to do some stuff with with radiation and micro x-rays and all these other pieces of testing and getting some isotopes aligned. And they found out that sapphires are really unique. These probably should be they're rarer than diamonds.
Wow.
Because they start deeper in the mantle, but they don't actually form because it takes the material from the deeper mantle and it comes up. And as it gets closer to the surface, within 4 miles of the surface, that's when it turns into a sapphire. Which is why they couldn't figure it out before.
So it actually starts to get its color the closer it gets to the surface. That's probably when the color and all starts to form. Interesting.
That's what they're thinking, right?
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that was a really nice little bit.
I wonder if they could recreate these like how they recreate. They're going through the whole.
Yeah. There's almost no diamond, no gemstone type of stuff. Diamonds, obviously, sapphires that they can all be created in a lab.
Nice.
And probably stronger, purer, etc. Which there's an interesting discussion to be had there on is it better to have the impurities, like you can kind of tell in this picture,
Mhm.
or do you want a pure one with no impurities?
Mhm.
If it's got impurities, that's mean it's a natural one dug up from the ground.
Mhm.
If it doesn't have any impurities or very few, then it's probably man-made,
Lab
stronger, fitting the characteristics better. Which one is better for you? Which one is better for the planet? No blood diamonds, etc., and stuff like that. So, hey,
they'll probably say it's as far as the value is concerned, it's not going to be as valuable as the one naturally created. I more or less.
I shared an article about diamonds the other day, or rubies about the other day, that somebody said the first time I found out I could buy 20 rubies for $20, I bought them.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you don't you want the gemstone, the beauty of the gemstone there. And now that we know exactly how this is, they can make it even closer and better. So you won't be able to really tell the difference. It's craziness.
That's amazing.
Okay, 2 more stories to go. They're both decent, good stuff. We'll try and use the clear language here for you. The first one, again, is another AI voice thing. I know they've been in the news a lot the last couple months. But this one here, the reason why we're covering this one is because you can now, with OpenAI's new tool, talk to your phone like it is a voice assistant. So an Amazon Echo, Amazon's S Word. We're not going to set off anybody's phones.
Yes.
But the voice quality, the voice type, the voice timbre, all of those things are now so good that it sounds like you're talking to a real person.
Yes.
Remember, we covered this earlier this year during the OpenAI first announcement of this, when they used what seemed really close to Scarlett Johansson's voice.
Yep.
But this one here has some interesting things. And one of the reasons that it's interesting, and this article talks about it more in depth, is how close to a friend can you be with an inanimate, not caring AI voice, but now is so anthropomorphized that it's like being a pet. Do you feel like your dog or cat is your friend?
I love my pup.
Yeah.
This is amazing technology after reading this article. However, it's a bit scary that you have a part of a population. I guess it works, for those who are not so sociably at ease, communing with individuals, openly. So in one sense, it works well, but it seems that it's also encouraging the lack of social skills. You know what I mean? If you can just get away by talking to OpenAI, you're not building upon your social skills. And I think as human beings, we are social creatures. And I think we need socialization to grow. You know what I mean? I think that's what that's a major part of us.
So here's where I'm going to throw a wrinkle in there for you, Trey. Do you have any friends online that mostly from typing or, comments back and forth on it or whatever, and they're friends? You feel like they're friends, even though you've never been in the same room with them, even though you may not have ever heard their voice.
Absolutely.
I've had, over the years, I've had several great friendships like that. So why is it different when it's an AI that isn't a real person either? And there are no right or wrong answers to this. And again, this is a societal thing. Because if you're going to trust in something like this, and you trust your dog, you've anthropomorphized it, that he misses you when you're gone, that he's feeling sad or happy or whatever. And yes, I believe pets do feel all those things. That's neither here nor there. But if you can imitate all that also, where's the difference?
I think for me, knowing that it's still a bot, more or less, or you know what I mean, technology, and it's not a real person. Like
but does that make it healthier? Does that make it better? You know, it's not a real person, so you know to be on that you can.
I think it makes it scary.
Yeah, or
especially with some of the movies that we've seen and how technology.
Yeah. Oh, the science fiction stories are there for a reason. Yep.
You know, so I don't know. There's like, I don't know. It's a bit scary. It's amazing coming from the background that we are, and you know how much we utilize technology in our everyday jobs here. But at the same time, it's a bit scary because it's just you think about that in the background, like, you know, the smarter they are, the, you know, what if they're able to take over and, you know, do like
my standard response always on that, Trey, it's just like a teenager.
Yes.
How many teenagers do you know that want to work hard?
Yes.
And if we know that the AI is getting smart enough and it's at the teenager level and we try to make it work harder, it's going to be just like a teenager and it's going to play dumb and it's not going to learn anymore, because then we'd make it work harder. So I think there's a potential plateau coming up here for that.
That was one of my questions. Do you think there's a plateau, given that it's not technically a human being? Will it cap itself? You know what I mean? Is there a cap?
I don't know. But let's move on to our last story here, because you just brought it up, being lots of human beings. So this is an interesting story. IVF, all sorts of different fertility treatments are in the news right now for other various reasons. And this story out of the UK. So people who go in to donate sperm and egg to help couples, to help future couples conceive, to be able to have kids. In the UK, there is a law that says you can only distribute it out to 10 people, because they don't want random people accidentally having relationships with other people that were born using this material and creating issues with families. But then it turns out the UK is like, okay, you'll only have 10 in the UK, and they're exporting the extras out to the rest of the world, including the United States. So here's this one woman who identified 25 brothers and sisters out there through ancestry.com. So she does not know, they have not confirmed, because there are privacy laws in place. So they have not confirmed just exactly how many this clinic did, because this was people who voluntarily gave their DNA to Ancestry to match up with other people. And so they were able to find out how many people. I want to do one other example here, and I want your opinion on this, Trey. Here is Liam, who, you know, connected, did all these things. He found 7 just in the UK, and then figured out he's one of at least 17. Yeah. So I do have another article in here highlighting women and donating eggs and why it's so important also, especially in the African-American community, where there's a less research and less availability. So there's an article here to talk about that also for what's going on. But tell me, Trey, what's your first thought on this one?
Yeah, man. You know,
wouldn't you want to know that you had somebody out there?
And that's why I was contemplating. So, like, it's a great thing that for individuals who struggle to, you know, have kids. It's a great source for that. However, there needs to be a more restrictive cap, especially for me personally. If you're not, if it's unbeknownst to you that, you know, your seed is being, you know, out there for everyone, you know, whatnot. That's a lot of people, especially depending on what area you're in. Say, for instance, like for me, I come from a small town back in Polk County. It's not a large city, so 25 siblings.
By the way, in the United States, there's no regulations on that number.
This is what I'm saying. So imagine having 35, 40 siblings in a town of, I don't know, 1,000, 1,100 people. You know what I mean? Your likelihood of possibly dating your sister, brother, cousin, or whatever just increases. So it's a bit scary for that, for me, for that. Outside of that, I really don't. I don't know. I don't really. I think it's a great alternative.
Oh, amazing. And yeah, let's stress that very much. This is a great medical advance that has allowed people who could not have children to have children. It's a great thing for the people who want it. And you cannot do that if you don't have people donating.
Absolutely.
Because that's all needed for this whole process. And again, this comes back to one of those things. And as always, the links are in the show notes, so everybody can go in and dive into these articles and come up with ideas and give us your feedback on them. Where do you draw the lines for regulation, and why are we doing it 30 years later, still coming up with regulations instead of, okay, look, we have this new thing of, in vitro fertilization, etc. Let's come up with some guidelines for it and rules. We have this new thing called AI. Maybe we should be coming up with rules now.
Yep, absolutely. It's a bit scary.
Yeah. But
it's a bit scary.
Life gets better. You've got some cool stuff coming up. When's Comic-Con coming up out there?
Yeah, so we have the 5th annual Comic-Con coming up October 19th, Saturday, October 19th, from 11 to 4. And
we're going to have Mo on the show beforehand to brag about that too.
Yes, Mo, he's looking forward to that. He mentioned that. So yeah, he's big help with me this year on this. And we're doing sort of we're theming it out around horror comics this time. So we have one of the horror comics favorites, author of Slay, Stories of the Vampire Noir and Black and Roots. Her name is Nicole Givens-Kurtz. She's going to be featured here. We have Marcus Roberts, and we have Broward County's own Jeff Carroll coming back in the building. He's a local favorite here, and he does tons of comics. And he has a few horror comics that he wants to feature out too. So we're looking forward to it, man. It's going to be a blast.
Oh, when we talk about it next month, in the beginning of October, it's going to be amazing. And just in case anybody's curious about it, we did a Creation Station Monthly in December, season 2, just on comics. We covered Harvard Medical School, graphic medicine stuff and everything. So go dig into the archives and listen to those things.
Yeah, come check it out.
Trey, thank you so much for being here today. It is always fun grabbing you.
Absolutely.
If there is a librarian or a library you'd like to see featured on the show, reach out, creationstation@broward.org, and we'll try to get them on. Everybody have a great week. We'll see you next week for Creation Station Monthly, August.